discussing this just a while back, isn't it, Pallavi? That this is the expectation. This entire week could go just like this. And there has been a pattern in the last few sessions. The government allows, so to say, the long rope to the opposition, allows them to protest, to vent, and then the legislative business actually begins from week 2. In this start of the session, there are two important points as well in the first week. One, casting a vote for the position of the next president, and then the counting. So I think that is also something that the government has kept in mind. The opposition seat space in week 2, especially in the upper house, that remains to be seen. But again, like we were pointing out, the numbers in Rajya Sabha, or the opposition's relative strength in Rajya Sabha, has not given them success in stalling bills. Government has managed that also. So I think on that count also they're not too worried.
Okay. And even as we speak, really, Arunima, we can also see those pictures of Rahul Gandhi, who's also joined in the protests. And, it's interesting because earlier this morning, Smriti Irani began her press conference really by taking pot shots at Rahul Gandhi. His absence from parliament, the fact that he doesn't even ask questions. You think this is the moment for the opposition to get its presence registered inside Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha, particularly Lok Sabha?
Well, they've tried in the past also, isn't it? Not just on the floor of the House, on the issue of price rise, on the issues of farmers. Have we not seen Rahul Gandhi actually get onto a tractor and drive all the way to Vijay Chowk, even though it's a high security zone, trying to grab the headlines, trying to ensure that it is his picture which dominates, electronic media coverage, social media coverage. But where does that really taken them? The criticism still goes on, and you're absolutely right in pointing out, Smriti Irani began by personally attacking Rahul Gandhi. That criticism is always, those snide remarks about Rahul Gandhi missing in action, going abroad or at crucial junctures, that the government and the treasury benches have underlined from time to time. And even in this moment, when opposition is trying to put up a unified face, trying to put up a joint front to put the government on the mat on the issue of price rise and GST, the Treasury thinks that by making personal attacks against Rahul Gandhi, they will be able to expose what they're calling the opposition's doublespeak.
That's right. And in fact, we were talking about Smriti Irani. In fact, let's listen to what she said early this morning at her press conference.
A gentleman who has never proposed a private member bill in Parliament in his parliamentary journey, today yet again wants to ensure that a healthy, productive debate, discussion in Parliament does not take place. Today is adamant to bring down the productivity of the Lok Sabha.
What's your demand?
The price hike, and the common man is suffering because of the prices rise, and the petrol prices and the gas prices are going up practically every day. And every sector is affected. There's no employment, but the prices are just going up. And how does a common person live? So that is why we are protesting. And now added on, the GST taxes are also becoming a bigger burden on people. So every day it's becoming a struggle to live in this country. And that is why the opposition, united opposition, is protesting against this. Thank you.
Ajay Kamlesh ji. Women held for forcing girl student to remove inner wear in exam center.
This is a very shocking news and a very unfortunate incident which was happened in Kerala NEET examination. The college NEET examination authorities insisted to the duty officers, duty women to remove their inner garments. This is a responsibility full National Testing Agency, NTA, National Testing Agency, which is come under Education Ministry, Government of India. So, who was responsible means number one culprit is the Education Ministry in the Government of India, Education Ministry. Then National NEET, National Test Agency, they gave an instruction to the college authority, those who are attending to the NEET examination, the inner wears, their inner wears.
Okay, there's some news which is coming in from Kerala, and that's regarding the gold smuggling case or the gold scam case. So the two developments which are taking place over here is that ED wants his plea in Supreme Court, that the hearing should carry on, the trial should take place in Supreme Court as far as the gold smuggling case is concerned from Kerala. Apart from that, the ED is also seeking a transfer of the case from Kerala to Karnataka, because according to the ED, there are attempts being made to cover up that entire case. Now, the Kerala gold smuggling case is something, in fact, let me just go across to my colleague, Neetu, joining us from Thiruvananthapuram. Setback for the Kerala government?
Now, because
Neetu, if you can hear me, ED's... yeah. Go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Neetu, go ahead.
Now, this case has been going on in Kerala for more than a year now. Ever since first in 2019 when this has happened. Now, in this case, recently also there have been, after Swapna Suresh made her 164 statement and allegations that have come out, a former Principal Secretary of Chief Minister Shiv Shankar is an accused in this case, and he's currently out on bail in this particular case. So the move by ED coming at this time, asking them to transfer this case to Karnataka, to Bangalore, comes as a shock to the state government also, because the top leaders, including the chief minister's name and his family's name, was said by Swapna Suresh, the main accused in the gold smuggling case. Now, it all depends on what the court will say, because this also depends. This also affects the credentials of the judiciary also, where they're seeing that in one state they don't feel that this case will get justice. So that is something which we'll have to wait and watch. But definitely there will be politics again in this issue also, with the left coming up in the defense and saying that this is all a political ploy by the BJP, but the opposition will definitely be attacking the government on this.
Mm-hmm. I also, Neetu, okay, we are going. Thank you very much, Neetu, for giving us those details. We're just going to go into a break now, but news continues over here on CNN News 18.
CNN News 18 is New India's #1 news choice. Trounces, Times Now, and Republic TV.
Meanwhile, let's move on here on Brass Tack Superfast to Sri Lanka, where the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has withdrawn from the presidential race. Premadasa announced the decision on Twitter. He said that he was withdrawing his candidacy for the greater good of the country and supporting rival candidate Dallas Alaperuma. In fact, the Sri Lankan parliament will tomorrow meet and elect a new president, and the fight seems to be between Ranil Wickremesinghe, the interim president right now, and Dallas Alaperuma. Now, let's take a look at the three men who are in the race to be the next president of Sri Lanka. Ranil Wickremesinghe, of course, is the current acting president. He's backed by the ruling SLPP, which is the party of the Rajapakshas. Dallas Alaperuma is a senior leader, again from the SLPP. He's been a multiple-time legislator. He's a lawmaker from Matara in the southern part of the country. He's considered to be a dark horse in this race. Also, the final one is the JVP leader, Aruna Kumara Dissanayaka. In fact, he is from the left-wing Janata Vimukti Peramuna. He's a strong critic of Prime Minister Wickremesinghe as well as the Rajapakshas, but he's thought of to be as too radical a candidate to be leading the country at a critical time such as this. Meanwhile, back home, day 2 of the monsoon session of Parliament was rocked by opposition-led protests.
Despite no protests or demonstrations being allowed inside the Parliament complex, opposition MPs gathered in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue. Congress's Rahul Gandhi, NCP MP Supriya Sule and Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Shiv Sena stood side by side and protested over price rise. They held placards on inflation and raised slogans against the government. The protest comes a day after the goods and services tax on packaged food items came into force.
जो टैक्स जीएसटी टैक्स उन्होंने लगाया है उसके बारे में हम अंदर जाकर अपनी बात भी रखेंगे or letting.
The drama continued inside the House, with opposition MPs interrupting proceedings.
सदन के अंदर तख्तियां लेकर आना उचित नहीं है.
Opposition MPs are also demanding a discussion on price rise and GST.
Well, after a viral video of some men offering namaz at a mall in Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has warned of strict action over unnecessary remarks and staging demonstrations to obstruct the movement of people. 4 of the 8 men seen offering namaz have been arrested.
सांप्रदायिक विद्वेष की स्थिति पैदा करने का जो कुत्सित प्रयास हो रहा है, सड़कों पर या पूजा के लिए या किसी भी अन्य कार्यक्रम के लिए कोई जगह नहीं होनी चाहिए और इसको किसी भी प्रकार की अनुमति नहीं दी जानी चाहिए.
A day after upholding their conviction, a Delhi court has released Sushil and Gopal Ansal for the period that they had already undergone for tampering with evidence in the 1997 Upar Cinema fire. The court took note of the old age.
Okay, welcome back. Let's go across straight to the Supreme Court, where the political crisis in Maharashtra is now in the eye of the storm and the focus. The case is now being heard in the Chief Justice N.V. Ramanna's court. In fact, even as we speak, arguments being made by Mr. Kapil Sibal. And the point that he's essentially raising is that what has happened over there in Maharashtra is a complete blow to democracy. Why is it that a new government was sworn in place when the case was still pending in Supreme Court? Why is it that no effort was being made first to give priority to what the Speaker has been saying, and therefore why should there a new government be in place? And this sets a very, very bad precedence. Let me just go across to my colleagues who are tracking the developments at the court. First is Siddhant Mishra, who's now joining us from outside the Supreme Court. Siddhant, these are the early hearings yet, so we're going to listen to the other side of arguments as well. But the plea essentially which has been put forward by Kapil Sibal has been scotched by the politicians, certainly who are in power in Maharashtra, saying that the voice of the people were being heard and they are the real Shiva Sena.
Well, that's correct. So basically, these two best legal minds of our country, Abhishek Manu Singhvi and Kapil Sibal, both are arguing for Uddhav Thackeray. Now, the point they are making in court is that the Shinde camp has misused the 10th schedule of the Constitution, and in fact, this is the reason that the deputy speaker's office was questioned before leaving for Surat, or for that matter before leaving for Guwahati, by the rebel MLAs. Also, Mr. Sibal is making this point that a delay in a relief is a havoc of democracy. He also went on to say that the way government was formed, the way governor did not appoint the speaker for 1 year, and later the questions were raised on deputy speaker's office. It was nothing but to misuse the 10th schedule of the Constitution, and Mr. Singhvi in fact demanded relief to Uddhav Thackeray immediately. So what Ananya is reporting from courtroom is that Mr. Singhvi has concluded his submission. Now it's time for the Shinde camp to start arguing. So it was expected that on 11th of July the court will hear the matter, but court did not give urgent hearing to Uddhav Thackeray. And Pallavi, in this matter, multiple petitions have been filed by Uddhav Thackeray camp, questioning the decision of the governor to call on the special session for the floor test, the disqualification proceedings that have been initiated by the new speaker. In fact, Uddhav Thackeray also demanded suspension of the 16 rebel MLAs of Shinde camp. So in total, 5 petitions are being heard. 2 have been filed by Eknath Shinde, and the remaining 3 petitions have been filed by Uddhav Thackeray. But this time around, the argument is being made from Uddhav Thackeray's side, convincing the court that how 10th schedule of the Constitution has been misused in this entire matter, despite the disqualification proceedings pending at a state level and also
in Mumbai as well. Let me just get in a word from Mihir, who's joining us from Mumbai as well. Mihir, even as we speak, there's news coming in that Aditya Thackeray is to start a Shiv Samvad Yatra from tomorrow, and they're going to start touring Maharashtra. So clearly, politically, whatever may be the a legal battle, but a political battle is something which the Shiv Sena doesn't want to give up on. The Uddhav Thackeray faction, that is.
Absolutely, and the Shiv Sena doesn't want to give up on the party on the whole, which is in question at this point, with the kind of loyalties shifting towards Eknath Shinde. One can see a vertical rift within the Shiv Sena, and that is a matter of concern for the Shiv Sena. Yes, Aditya Thackeray will be carrying on this entire tour of Maharashtra, where he will be meeting with the grassroots level leaders as well as some of the senior leaders of the interiors of Maharashtra through this tour. But that is something, the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray has realized, and they are doing it on a constant basis. It is a matter of saving the Sena for Uddhav Thackeray at this point, and one cannot deny the fact, because there is a vertical rift and there has been a shift of loyalty through the entire organizational structure of the Shiv Sena, and that is what they are trying to make sure and salvage at this point. Remember, it's not only the MPs, not only the MLAs, but party leaders at the lowest level are siding with Eknath Shinde, many of them, and that confidence the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray needs to get back into the people, and that's why they are reaching out to...
I'll take this point across to Vinaya as well. Mihir, if you can please hold on, I'll take this point across to Vinaya as well. She's been the one who's telling us this news about the fact that it's our saffron. The tagline, which of course is being used, is about our saffron, our yatra. That's the tagline of the Aditya Thackeray's yatra. Vinaya, as I was asking Mihir a short while back, the political battle, I guess, will be a fierce one.
Well, absolutely, Pallavi. At a time when we see both Uddhav Thackeray as well as Aditya Thackeray trying to reach out to people, the outreach program has already begun in Mumbai. Even yesterday, Uddhav Thackeray held back-to-back meetings at Sena Bhavan. Meetings have been going on at Matoshri. Aditya Thackeray has been going out within constituencies in Mumbai in order to talk to Shiv Sainiks on the ground. And now the Shiv Sena seems to be taking the political battle at another level, with Aditya Thackeray declaring the Shiv Samvad Yatra, which is going to begin for 3 days, which is going to begin from tomorrow and is going to cover Bhiwandi, Nashik, Dindori, Sambhajinagar, Shirdi. It's a packed program. If you can see the itinerary which has been shared just now, the clear agenda being at a time when there is a crisis on the legislative party front, not just in the Legislative Assembly but also in the Parliament. Uddhav Thackeray and Aditya Thackeray trying to keep the cadres together, because as we have seen, there is a lot of confusion between the cadres on the streets as well. We have seen several local level cadres from at least the regional belt of coastal areas, particularly Thane, Navi Mumbai and surrounding areas, coming out in support of Eknath Shinde. At such a time, the Thackeray's thinking that it is crucial for that outreach program to begin right now in order to keep its flock together, also on the background of the political battle, amid the fact that the BMC elections are also coming up close. All these facts put together at a time when the battle is only likely to intensify in the court of law and also possibly in the election commission only shows that the Thackeray's somewhere are trying to put forth their resolve that they are not going to leave their hold on the Shiv Sena. Pallavi.
All right. Thank you very much, Vinaya, and thank you very much, Siddhant, as well as Mihir. There may be a new government in place in Maharashtra, but clearly the political war has not ended. We're going to shift focus now to Tamil Nadu, where the death by suicide of a 12-year-old 12th standard student has still caught in the grips of controversy and much political mayhem. This was in Kallakurichi, and this has sent shockwaves across the country. The second autopsy report, which was ordered by the Madras High Court, was conducted yesterday, and this process took over 3 hours. The autopsy was conducted by a team of 3 doctors appointed by the court, and it was also videographed. Meanwhile, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin held a video conferencing meeting regarding the matter yesterday. The ministers and secretaries were briefed the Chief Minister about the people who had instigated the violence and the steps which have been taken to curb it. Meanwhile, there's a heavy police deployment in multiple areas, including Veppur and the Kadalur district. So we are going to try and go across to our reporters very much on the ground who are reporting from the story. But this has given rise to a major crisis and controversy. This all began when the 12th standard student died by suicide. What she also wrote was that she was under tremendous pressure from the teachers to study and she could not tolerate it anymore. Teachers, of course, completely rejected these allegations. So there were not one, but there were two autopsy reports. And let me just go across to Purnima. Purnima, two autopsy reports, top-level meeting by the Chief Minister, yet the politics and the crisis and controversy doesn't seem to be ending soon.
Absolutely. The family still wants doctors of their choice to perform the autopsy report, while the Madras High Court had asked the parents to also be present for when the postmortem report, when the second postmortem report is conducted. They waited for the father. The father was not reachable, and finally, they in fact pasted a note also, a notice saying that the second autopsy report is out and that they should collect the body for the last rites. Family, however, maintains that still the autopsy report is done by a team of doctors chosen by them. They refuse to collect the body of the girl. While the family alleges foul play and also says that they are not convinced with the second autopsy report as well, politics refuses to die down. The AIADMK calls it political vendetta because two of their IT wing members were arrested for provocating violence that broke out on Sunday. Politics refuses to die down while Chief Minister has urged the state police to identify those who were behind these violent protests. ADMK says they are blamed when there's lawlessness in the state. ADMK is being the target of the DMK government.
Okay. We also have Ritu, who's actually reporting from the spot. You must have been speaking to the family members or at least got a sense of their feeling. Do you feel that, or they fear or they're apprehensive that justice may not actually be done?
Yes, so what we know so far is that the family had approached the Madras High Court, and over there the Madras High Court in fact had agreed to meet their demand and had allowed for the second autopsy. But you see, when the second autopsy was undergoing, the parents weren't present at the hospital, and then the district administration in fact reached out to the family members n number of time, and even after the constant efforts, they did not pick their call up, and a fewer times the phones were not reachable, phones were switched off. So the district administration officials in fact had a lot of trouble while they were trying to connect with the family members. While they were not reachable, you see the call that was being given to take the second autopsy without the presence of the parents and the lawyer. But in fact this too, second autopsy was being videographed is what we also know. So first the body had moved for the x-ray, and then the second inset of the second autopsy took place, and it went on for almost 3 hours of the duration, and all that while the family wasn't present. Even after the constant calls, their phones were not reachable as what we know. And then you see later point in the evening, the CBCID in fact went again back to the place in the Kodaluru district where the girl's family is and the house is. So they again posted the second note over there and had told that the district administration, as they posted the letter, they pasted the letter in fact on the wall and had called for the family, and they waited till 1 o'clock, and when the family did not turn up to the hospital, they finally had to take the second autopsy. And now thus the second autopsy is almost done. They also said in the letter that they will have to collect the body letter, and that's the waiting that is taking place there. So you see the 2 letters were being sent out from the officials from CBCID as well as the district administration. Now what is the major question that has been raised here is that the primary demand of the family was that they needed the second autopsy, as they said that there was a foul play in this whole suicide of their daughter. Now they did not turn up to the hospital, and still the body remains to be in the Kallakurichi government hospital, and the family members haven't turned out. Now what is it that what the sources tell us is the family members will take the further decisions after the Supreme Court's hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Niju. Thank you very much, Purnima, for getting us those details. We are going to now shift focus to Ranchi, where there's yet another shocking incident. Now, if you all remember what happened in Haryana yesterday, where there was a DSP who was crushed because he was exposing a mining mafia, and he was crushed by the mining mafia. Well, in Ranchi too, there seems to be a kind of a similar incident. And this is where a female sub-inspector was crushed to death by a pickup van in Ranchi. She was reportedly killed last night during a vehicle check. The SSP of Ranchi has said that the accused has been arrested and the vehicle has been seized. Let's listen in to the reactions.
टुपुदाना के हुलुंडू इलाके में वाहन चेकिंग के दौरान महिला दारोगा पे गाड़ी ने रौंदा और महिला दारोगा की वही स्पॉट पर मृत्यु हो गई। बता दें कि ठीक सामने तस्वीरों में जो गाड़ी है, यही वाहन चेकिंग के दौरान वहां पर महिला दारोगा को रौंदते हुए चला गया और इस गाड़ी में पशु जो था उसकी तस्करी की जा रही थी। बता दें साहिबगंज की ओर से फरार होकर चालक यहां तक पहुंचा था, शहर के अंदर एंट्री लेने की कोशिश कर रही थी। उसी बीच वाहन चेकिंग के दौरान जब 2018 बैच की महिला दारोगा संध्या टोपनो ने उसे रोकने की कोशिश की तो गाड़ी चालक ने उनके ऊपर रौंदते हुए गाड़ी आगे बढ़ा दी। हालांकि जो चालक है वो फिलहाल गिरफ्तार हो गए हैं, थाने में इनकी गाड़ी लगा दी गई है। और वहीं दूसरी ओर जो पीड़िता महिला दारोगा है उनकी मृत्यु हो चुकी है और वो रिम्स अस्पताल में फिलहाल है।
साफ चाहती हैं क्योंकि एक आरोपी पकड़ा भी गया है। पुलिस कह रही है, सरकार कह रही नहीं छोड़ेगी।
मन तो कोई हो नहीं, पहले तो यूं कह रहे एक को एनकाउंटर कर दिया, एक कह रहे पकड़ा गया। अब मेरे को तो ये पता नहीं पकड़ा गया, एनकाउंटर करा ना करा, हम तो उजड़ गए, हमारा तो चला गया, वो तो नहीं। मेरी तो मांग यही है, अगर कोई भगवान ही पूरी कर सके तो मेरे तो वो ला दो, बस इसके पापा ला दो और मेरे को कुछ ही होनी चाहिए। अभी मेरे को और कुछ ही पहुंची।
पता है बहुत मुश्किल वक्त है आप लोगों के लिए ये।
अभी मेरे बच्चों को मैं क्या बोलूं भाई, मैं क्या बोलूं। मेरा बेटा यूं कह रहा पापा, माँ मेरा पापा गया रात मेरे को।
हम चाहते हैं कि जिसने गलत किया है उसको पकड़ा जाए बस। हमारे पापा तो वापिस आ नहीं सकते।
अब वो तो आ नहीं सकते, चाहे पकड़ो चाहे छोड़ दो, अब तो नहीं आ सकते। मैं कहाँ चिल्लाऊं। मेरे छोटे छोटे पोते यूं कहते हैं, दादा दादा, जिसको याद भी नहीं रहेगा दादा।
So that's another shocking incident after Haryana, also now in Ranchi. News continues over here on CNN News 18.